Long before flowers colored the earth with their bright petals, before birds crossed the skies and before mammals wandered beneath ancient mountains, the ancestors of Gymnosperms quietly began one of the most important journeys in the history of life. In a world still harsh and uncertain, they carried within themselves a revolutionary idea. Hope could survive even in the driest wilderness. That hope took the form of a seed. The world they first entered was not gentle. Vast stretches of rocky land baked beneath primitive skies. Wind swept endlessly across barren plains where little green life could survive for long. Rivers dried without warning. Storms arrived with violent force and vanished just as quickly. Most early plants still depended heavily on water to reproduce, bound to the damp edges of ancient swamps and forests. But the ancestors of Gymnosperms dreamed of something greater. They sought freedom from dependence on fragile conditions. They sought a way to carry life safely through distance, drought, and time itself. And so, quietly, without ceremony, the seed was born. It was such a small thing. A tiny vessel wrapped in protection, carrying the blueprint of future forests inside its fragile shell. Yet within that simple structure rested one of nature's greatest acts of patience and foresight. The seed allowed life to sleep through hardship. It allowed hope to travel on the wind. It allowed the future to survive long before the future arrived. The ancestors of Gymnosperms did not rush across the world in sudden triumph. Their growth was slow, careful, almost meditative. They learned to root deeply into unforgiving soil. They stretched needle-like leaves toward pale sunlight while cold winds swept endlessly across the ancient earth. Around them, entire ecosystems rose and disappeared. Giant ferns once dominant across humid landscapes began to fade as climates changed. But the seed-bearing pioneers endured. There is something deeply calming about the way they survived. They did not conquer through aggression. They survived through restraint. They understood that endurance often belongs to those who know how to wait. In those distant geological ages, the earth itself seemed restless. Continents shifted like drifting islands. Volcanoes darkened the skies. Seasons became harsher. Yet in hidden valleys and across rocky slopes, early Gymnosperms continued their silent work. Year after year, they released seeds into the wilderness, trusting invisible currents of wind to carry possibility into unknown places. Imagine standing in one of those ancient forests. The air is cool and dry. Primitive conifers rise beneath a pale sky, their silhouettes dark against drifting mist. No flowers bloom here. No sweet fragrances fill the air. And yet there is beauty everywhere. It is the beauty of resilience. The beauty of simplicity. The beauty of life continuing quietly despite uncertainty. Their branches swayed gently in ancient winds while time moved around them like an endless river. Dinosaurs would eventually wander beneath their canopies. Ice ages would arrive long after. Entire oceans would shift their borders. But the descendants of those first Gymnosperms would continue standing through it all, carrying forward the same ancient wisdom written into every seed. That wisdom was simple. Protect what matters. Grow slowly. Trust time. Even today, when we walk through pine forests or stand beneath towering evergreens, we are standing beside the distant descendants of those ancient pioneers. Their calm presence still carries echoes of the prehistoric world. Their needles whisper softly in the wind with the same rhythm that once drifted through forests hundreds of millions of years ago. Perhaps this is why forests feel so healing to the human mind. Deep within us, there may still be some forgotten recognition of that ancient stability. Among trees descended from the earliest seed-bearers, the nervous system begins to slow. Breathing softens naturally. Thoughts become quieter. The body remembers something older than language. The ancestors of Gymnosperms teach us a gentle lesson about survival. Life does not always move forward through speed or force. Sometimes it survives through patience so deep it becomes invisible. Sometimes strength means preserving a small spark of possibility through long winters of uncertainty. Tonight, imagine yourself walking through one of those ancient forests at dusk. The ground beneath your feet is soft with fallen needles. A cold breeze moves slowly between dark trunks. Above you, branches form endless patterns against the fading sky. Somewhere in the distance, water drips steadily from stone to earth. There is no urgency here. The trees are not worried about tomorrow. They have already survived ages beyond imagination. They have watched mountains rise and collapse. They have endured extinctions powerful enough to erase entire worlds. And still, they continue growing quietly toward the light. You stop beside one ancient tree and rest your hand against its bark. Beneath that rough surface flows the same patient rhythm that once carried life across barren prehistoric lands. A rhythm older than fear. Older than ambition. Older than human memory itself. In this forest, nothing asks you to hurry. Nothing demands perfection. The trees ask only that you remain present long enough to hear the silence between your thoughts. As night slowly settles over the ancient landscape, mist gathers once more between the branches. The stars begin appearing above the forest canopy one by one. Somewhere far away, wind moves softly through the needles like a deep and steady breath. And perhaps tonight, you too can become like those first seed bearers. Quietly protecting something hopeful within yourself. Carrying your own small seed of peace through uncertain seasons. Trusting that even after the harshest winters, life still remembers how to grow. The ancient forest remains awake beneath the stars, calm and watchful as it has always been. Wrapped within its endless stillness, you can finally loosen your thoughts, soften your breathing, and rest. Sleep now beneath the shelter of those timeless trees, and let their patient wisdom carry you gently into dreams.